So I thought we would begin because we don't really know each other too well right now. Some of us are brand new to each other. That we would just sort of briefly introduce ourselves. If we went through a very specific awakening process, just sort of mention that, and any experience you have with out-of-body experience, lucid dreaming, or even just journaling your dreams and working with them in any type of way in the physical reality, something along this line. So I'll go ahead and begin. And I'm so sorry, it's my breakfast time. I'm actually pretty hungry. So I'm going to take a sip and then begin.
Bon appétit.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Casey. And I underwent my awakening process during the years of 2009 to 2013, somewhat into 2014. And that awakening process, I video journaled on YouTube for anyone who would like to go through and watch the process and be helped by the process and know and feel that they're not alone, which was the whole purpose of that. Let's see, I was taken, it was a top-down Kundalini type awakening process. So with most people, Kundalini is base to crown. So it begins in the physical reality where they start having all kinds of physical phenomena in their body. Mine was top down. So from what I've kind of seen around, this is about 5% of those awakening undergo a top-down process. And this is when the roof of your head blows open and you are cosmic, universal, galactic, and physical all at the same time. And so this is why I was able to explore the consciousness systems, be in multiple locations simultaneously all at once, and all of that kind of stuff. I also did undergo the physical part of the process, which was absolutely painful for me. That is also logged in the video journals and on the boards. So the boards I opened in 2008, probably to ready for 2009. And all of that's journaled there as well. So if anybody wants any relief or comforting or company during any part of that process you may be undergoing, all of that is there. So every day, almost just about every day, I was taken out of body. So I spent those 4 years in large part out of body. And when I was back here journaling it and connecting with the others of you. And I think we all know why we do that. And that's about it for mine. That brings us to today. Today is June 26th, 2019. And James, would you like to start with yours and bring it up to 2019?
Sure. Mine will actually go back to about 7 or 8 years old. Kind of spontaneous experience with me. So it starts with out-of-body experiences where I'm out my body, I'm looking at my body, I'm floating around my house, stuff like that. Just about 7, 8 years old that started. My first experience with precognitive dreams, when I'm dreaming far into the future. My first one happened 15 years later, that actually took place. That's over the past 10 years, that's continuous for me at that point. Interaction with beings, spirits, or it's like a spiritual thing, and just interaction, feeling them there, and stuff like that going on. Countless deja vu. I'm always seeing the future, always getting hits in the future. What else has happened? And then it starts when my brother had a tragic death, and I experienced some kind of shock system. My body just went paralyzed. And then the best description for this is a mystical psychosis. It wasn't a mystical experience, it was a mystical psychosis where I experienced myself in 3 parts. Like a physical, another level, and an even bigger one above that. And ever since then, I've been getting guidance and directions, just through all the information. So the past 4 years has just been constant guidance, constant information, downloads of information coming into me all the time, and leading me through my path of study and out of body, And that's been starting, the lucid dreams has started, more out of body combination with lucid dreams are starting for me now. So this is where I'm coming at now. So I've got massive amounts of information passed to me that is still unraveling after that first initial experience about 4 years ago, the big one. So that's where I'm at just now, just getting back to the earth, but I'm so expanded, wide open, and I'm just starting to go into the steps now. I just go up into the experience in a calm fashion. So I'm just kind of learning my way around and meeting other people like it and just getting involved from there. So that's where I am just now. So about 2015, I get cracked wide open to that. So that's me.
Okay, thank you. Ioana.
So it's my turn. I was writing this intro for your website, and I realized that it's such a long story that I don't know exactly where to begin. And in the same time, feel like I'm not in the same family with you guys, something like that, because I didn't have an awakening as it were. I grew up in communist Romania, and I was just empathic and physical empathic, and also just empathic to everybody's emotions and thoughts, and I had no idea. So I would just be ecstatic one moment and then just depressed like crazy the other moment, and I would feel everything around me, and I would think I'm crazy. And my mother is the other way around. She never feels anything. So it was growing up, it was kind of a strange experience. And also because of the background of my family, my grandpa was in political prisoner after the war. So the communists put him in prison for 3 years, and nobody knew where he was. And when he came back, he never talked about it. And I had no idea about it until I was 18, and it was the so-called revolution, and we could talk about things in the open. But so growing up, I was in all kinds of abusive situations. Besides incest, I kind of seen it all. And but it was just everyday life. So hey, Yen is here. You want to tell him what we are doing? Because
no, keep going, Ioana.
So but I would have, so I was in these abusive situations, but I would just and I saw death a lot of times, and I would just in the last moment, in the last seconds, just get out of that situation, just by pure luck, I called it. But yeah, I've seen some things that I know that I was guided in some way.
Yes.
But I felt alone. I felt alone, and I only very much later, I thought, there are some beings with me, but they are not the physical beings, which the physical beings, I always felt like I'm alone in the whole world, and I never had anybody to talk to. Yes.
That's the one thing we all have in common. That feeling of being alone. Yeah, and a sort of sadness for me behind my everyday experience was always this level of sadness. To this day, I've not been able to identify it. But Ioana, you just described perfectly that base to crown awakening process. Yours just began happening at the onset of your life, you know, and just continued over the course of your life rather than it coming in all at once.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you just lived the process. And I'd say that that's probably the most graceful way to go about it. we all design these awakenings very uniquely to our own beings. And so, yeah, to ensure our success, because not all of us do succeed. Not all of us make it to the completion of the fulfillment of our function here. So I want to thank you all for making it.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we all share guidance. I think we're all guided in some ways, all coming together at these points together. I think we all share that in common. We're all getting put. We're all getting put.
We're all family. We got to know that.
Yeah.
Yes, and what's interesting is that I was interested in awakening, but not really, not in the same way that they were describing it. And with the dreams, I have that's another story, but it's best to write it because it's long and it's not enough time for it now. But there were like blocks of things, of periods that started very abruptly and ended very abruptly in my life. And then I was interested in awakening, and then I found your videos right at the beginning, I think, and I was like, oh my God, this is a fascinating person. Oh my God, and she's just saying things that I would never dare to say. And I heard things in your dreams that are like, yeah, I know that. But to get back just very shortly about my dreams, I noticed when I was very little that I would dream in the future. I was always dreaming in the future, just general future from, I don't know, hundreds of years from now.
Earth
and
future?
Sorry?
Earth future?
Yes, Earth future or Earth-like future, I'm not sure. But what I discovered like 2 weeks ago, I think we changed that future in a general linear timeline, because what I was dreaming then is not possible anymore now. So it was like the biggest disasters and wars and everything, and I didn't dream that in years. I didn't travel to that in years. I think it's that we changed timeline, so that's very nice.
Good. The alterations are fascinating.
Yeah, and also what James said about deja vus. I also, at one point, I was writing my dreams. I think I was 14 or something, and then something happened. I couldn't write for a few years, and then I reread that, and then just the next day something happened from my and I was like, yeah, that's magic. So I had a different kind, a few kind of dreams, which were, some of were from this life and some were from future lives. Never had a past life dream until now.
Okay.
But also something else, what changed actually my direction was in 2005, I had a dream on 20th of December about a tsunami.
Okay.
Hi, Dashona. And then it happened. And a few days later, and then I really didn't understand why it was given to me to see it, and why I couldn't prevent anything. Of course, I couldn't prevent anything, but I just couldn't. I had such a burnout from that, because I was like, okay, I saw it. I saw this destruction. I saw these dead people, and I was there. And then it happened, and that was
okay.
Yeah.
So you're precognitive. Yeah, definitely precognitive, and that's the common theme from the beginning of your intro to here is, yeah, you have precognition, and that's wonderful. So this is good for me to know for how we're going to guide the talk from here forward. But let's continue on with the introductions. Jan, Deshanta, hello. We're just doing brief introductions right now, so we can all get a little gist of who we are. So Jan,
yes,
you're up.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I don't hear myself in the headphones, so I
Ah,
Well, at least you hear me, so that's good.
we do. Does everybody else hear me? Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, for starters, I'm very tired today. I was thinking about not going here at all because I was just so tired. It's been a strange day, and it still is, and I feel like zzz, like this.
Okay, well,
And
start off.
yeah,
Yeah,
what?
start off with that. Tell us what happened today. What's happening?
No, no, nothing in particular. Just in the morning when I usually lie and wake up, I can feel buzzing sensations.
Okay.
I often and I often do, but today was really strong, really strong. And I have felt it through the day, and I think I slept well, but still really, really tired. And
Enjoy it.
yeah, I'm trying. And I was
Enjoy
out, yeah, out having a bike ride and arrived here, and then I thought, I'm not going to make it. uh, but
Glad you
well,
did.
yeah, okay. So that being said, hi.
Hi, Dan.
You could say that my intro to all of this was through personal crisis, of course. What else? Too much to dig into, and I won't. But I got into meditation, and finally, I also did a 10-day Vipassana retreat here in Sweden.
When was this?
Oh, oh, what year was it? I don't recall actually. But it was not, but it was not in the absolute beginning. A bit in along the way.
Okay. Are we
But
in?
before that, I also come from an MBT perspective with Tom Campbell, My Big Toe. And as I was meditating more and more, I started to feel sensations, because that's what you do when you drop down and start to just be calm and quiet and sit there, and you start to feel things. And I thought it was very, very weird. Then it was like hot spots in my hands or my belly or localized things. And I also felt what I do now, vibrational stuff going on too. And I asked around among the people that I had been coming into contact with. It was Dagda, actually, from the MBT community. I don't know if you know her. Dagda? No?
I've
No one?
seen her there, but I don't know her personally.
No. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I had an email conversation with her anyway, and she said it sounded like pre-OBE sensations. And I had never heard of it. I wasn't into it. I didn't look for it. And what? And of course, since then, I started to pursue it after that. And it took a while, but I got some success, and then a little bit more and a little bit more. Like I said before, not rarely I feel conscious exits. It's been more of lucid dreaming and that that route. So I don't know what to call everything I'm experiencing, but yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe that's enough to begin with.
Okay. All
I don't
right.
know.
That brings us up to date. But let me just ask real quick, because not even I know this, and I think I know you the best of the group. When did you come into the equation of the feeling the body phenomena? Are we into the 2000s yet, or is this pre-2000?
Yeah, it's I started around 2011, late 2011 with I joined a Zen group here, Zen meditation group in Gothenburg.
Yes. Okay.
And yeah.
When did we meet? Did we meet on Tom Campbell's board?
No, I don't think so. I think I stumbled on your material online, and you happened to be in one of the groups, and so on.
Oh, the astral projection
Just like,
group. Yes.
yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. This will help me remember for the future when I forget again also.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, everyone, so far for your introduction. Deshanta,
Yeah.
we're doing a little 5-minute intro. Just tell everybody who you are and if you underwent any kind of particular awakening, if you have experience with out of bodies and lucid dreaming, and etc. You'll have to unmute your microphone first. So if you look in the bottom left of your computer screen, just move your mouse over there. Excellent.
Okay. Sorry, my hair is crazy. I was outside. Hi, everyone. My name's Deshanta. I'm married with a husband and I have a 4-year-old. I'm a crystal healer, new into the business. I haven't fully expanded to taking in clients yet. I'm still getting all my inventory and stuff in. I started this journey about a year ago, but going back on it and reflecting on, you know, my childhood memories and everything leading up to now, I feel like I've always been slightly awakened because of the thoughts and the memories that I have been recalling. I had a strange experience when I was a child that I tend to start off with when I introduce myself, because I've never experienced anything like this. I've never known anybody else to experience this. When I was a kid, I think I was in preschool actually. I remember a nightmare. Well, now I know it wasn't a nightmare, but it repeated itself every day over the course of a week. And I was in this empty room that was like static, this gray static everywhere. That's the best thing I can explain it. And I remember feeling this pressure, like all of the walls are coming in on me, but they're not moving, it's just the static. And I feel a presence there. I'm terrified. I actually did a few paintings of it when I was a child that actually freaked out my teacher and is the reason why I took preschool a second time. So that was a big impact in my life. I remember speaking to this static, telling me something. I remember telling him I was scared and I don't want to be part of this anymore. I don't really know what it was, but ever since then, it's just been kind of full of synchronicities and vivid dreams. I have some out-of-body experiences, like I have posted in the Facebook group, and I think on the forum, that I have lucid dreams all the time, some out-of-body experiences, because I've been listening to the Galactic channel's videos and trying to practice that. So
you have excellent dream recall. You have a large body of dream recall almost every night. Yes.
All right.
So,
and
yeah.
I also wake up with my whole body like vibrating almost every morning.
All right. So yes, you are having the shifts. We just haven't gotten into having the conscious shifts yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming back into the physical reality, you're feeling the differential between the frequencies, all the vibrations. And yes, so that's the beginning of being able to be aware and have the conscious shifts. Now, let me see a raise of hand. Who here is interested in having conscious shifts out of body? Okay. For everyone? Okay. All right. Everybody's central nervous system is ready? We're sure. Oh, that's right. Yeah, good, because that's my job. And there's a reason for this. And that is because...
Question.
Oh, yes.
Do you mean right now? Because right now in this moment, or you mean in general?
I mean, yeah, no, not right now. Right now we're going to have the talk, but we're going to have the talk about what we can do to begin readying the central nervous system, readying our personal minds and energy systems for that. Because what happens with the conscious shifts, as Jan was explaining a little bit earlier, is more information and energy is going to come down into the physical construct. And this is not always pleasant. So we have to have this part of ourselves ready for the experience. So there's quite a lot we can do in that regard, and that's what I'm hoping we can begin to talk about today. Let me just ask first, Deshanta, did we make it to the end of your introduction?
I don't know if I really had anything else to say. I do go outside every night and I see some shooting stars and some plasma orbs that I call my being family. So that's about the extent of my experiences.
Who here does night watches, going out to look what they can see up in the atmosphere? Okay.
I get flash now and again.
I just asked how many of you here are ETs?
Probably all of us.
This is the teacher my kid got me.
Good. Let's talk about this for a moment. When we start to have the conscious out of bodies, we're graduating from the personal private reality we have been in the majority of our lives. Now, most of us have had more awareness within that construct than most of the others, most of what I call the earth humans here on the learning program. So in my way of conceptualizing the people that are here and beings, because I'm going to include the animals, plants, and mineral kingdom in this as well. The majority of those here are on the learning program. They're in a third dimensional construct, learning what a third dimensional experience is and how to live, how to survive, how to be in that. Then there's others of us, and we're not here on the learning program. We're graduates. We've already graduated our third dimensional paradigm, our third grade class, and from another dimension have returned to this one to help, because here we got stuck. Here something happened, and I'm not going to go into what happened because there's all kinds of stories and ways of conceptualizing this as well. The main point being, we are graduates who came back to assist. And that's why we have this greater awareness and experiences that are not usual to the rule set here. I'm going to bring in Tom for you boys. But we have, in large part, still been in the third dimensional construct. We've had the greater awareness, but in the third dimensional construct. The conscious shifts out of body are a part of the process of our graduating back out of the third dimensional construct, which we have to do again. And we have to do it without losing conscious awareness. As soon as you lose conscious awareness, as soon as you fall asleep, you fall back into the more narrow parameter. And so the graduation back out of 3D through 4D, 5D, 6D, wherever it is that we're going back to, has to be done in full conscious awareness. If it's not done in full conscious awareness, another way of saying this is we're still stuck. And there will be an incarnation and another body here repeatedly until we're able to, make the grade. Get enough energy and momentum going to hold that conscious awareness through the shift, back through the dimensions, back through the frequencies to where we actually are and are projecting here from, in my own way of viewing things. Okay, did that make sense?
Yeah, that's something that me and Ted from the MBT were working on together, find those past lives and why we'd incarnated this way. We were making progress in why we'd incarnated into what we were doing. And the information I have from my higher self is to work on mental disorders and shaping it. So the paradigm gets shifted. So I'm here for a particular thing to get done. I'm just getting information very gradually to actually why I've incarnated and why I experienced what I did and the way I did it. It's to turn around and help the others lift up as I go forward with it, sort of thing.
This is an important point. It is the part of the process of our graduating up out of the third dimensional construct. Again, as I said, more as we do this in full conscious awareness, more energy and information is coming into our physical constructs and therefore into the physical field, into the earth life experience itself. And that gets given to that construct to help others. So these two things are happening co-simultaneously. It's not an either or. The either or is a part of the duality construct and thinking patterns that the beings here on the learning program are using, but we need to jump out of that construct. We have to know that either or does not work in our function. We have to jump into the infinite and, as I like to call it. So it's not like you have OBEs to get out of here and we're leaving this behind. No, that's how the 3D people will think of it, though, because they're only able to be in the one place at a time. When you begin graduating out of the duality construct, you're graduating out of that thought construct and experience of being in just one place at a time. Okay? No, bring some awareness into this for a moment. Those of you who have had out-of-body experiences and even lucid dreams, because they are in fact the same thing. From the wider construct in, not from the narrower construct out, then it's perceived differently, but from the wider construct in, they're the same thing. And they're just an expansion of consciousness into an additional frequency territory. And in that experience, you either know you're dreaming or you know you're out of body. Therefore, you know you have a body in the physical construct, and you know you're having one there in the environment in which you are. You're in two locations. Cognizing that is important. It's really important because at the basis, that's what the out-of-body experience is and is going to be. You occupying more and more territory, more and more of the bodies, the more and more of the incarnations you are experiencing in right here, right now, not just on this planet, but in the all of right here, right now. Okay. All right, so where should we dive in? Should we dive into experiences we've had and questions we have in their regard? Or should we dive into what we can do in our physical realities to begin preparing our central nervous system for the conscious out of body? The first one or the second? Hands.
Yeah.
A mixture, I suppose. A mixture. If it's so different kinds, I suppose it all comes under the same thing, though, I suppose. But yeah, how to go forward, I would say, probably most important, I would think. What to do now as it comes in, because my head buzzes, my hand buzzes all the time. This is just all day. So I'm definitely going in that way. So how to prepare for it, I suppose, would be good for me. What's going to happen next, sort of thing.
Okay, so the really big thing that we're doing is we're learning how to keep the conscious mind awake. That means Casey awake, Deshanta awake, Jan awake. Okay? When in a frequency of vibration that is not our home territory. Okay, our home territory, the earth life, this is the predominant beta brainwave structure, and we're very used to, in fact, when we're in that beta brainwave structure is when we consider ourselves awake, right? Okay, that's the frequency. Those are the waves we ride when we are what we call awake. It's a beta brainwave. Okay, I should say it's a predominantly beta brainwave because the other frequencies are in there. It's just predominant in the beta. Okay, and what we want to be able to do is to stay awake, keep the beta awake while in the alpha.
So this is what, parallel processing sort of thing, split.
Well, that's how Tom would put it, parallel processing.
Parallel processing.
Yes, I just call it bilocating or being in many places at once or a lot of things like this. And so this is what the meditation is for. When we're doing the meditations, when you calm and quiet the mind, we're moving out of the beta brainwave structure and into the predominant alpha. And you'll notice that if you sit for long enough, you fall asleep. And so the practice of meditation is the practice of staying awake while those brainwaves shift through the predominant beta into the predominant alpha and much beyond. Because meditation, you can get into the deep delta and deep thetas too. Okay, but it's about staying awake in that. So keeping the beta awake within the alpha, the beta and the alpha awake within the theta. This is how I was able to be in 4 or 5 places at the same time in my OBEs. Okay, and then the beta, alpha, theta awake in the delta. Okay, and that structure right there, I've shown you guys that necklace with the concentric circles. That's what that's all about. Those are the levels of consciousness. It has the equal cross through the middle, which is the horizontal and vertical axis that we experience the visual field realities by. There is the ground level view and the aerial aspect that's always with you, your higher self. 2 components of a whole. Okay, so how do we go about doing this? Meditation is one. So please, everybody, come to our meditations. Meditate on your own on the days that we're not meeting as a group. Carry this over into your daily life and your daily experience, whether you're sitting for 2 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour, it does not matter. Just begin the daily habit of meditating. You can meditate sitting up. You can meditate laying down, which is my favorite. You can meditate while doing some sort of artistic activity, painting or dance or working with the crystals, walking. Okay, so you can meditate during all of this. Put your mind purely with the activity that you're doing as much as you can, you know, for as long as you can. You can meditate with the breath. If it's not easy for you to keep awareness on awareness like this, then put awareness with the breath. And as you walk or as you're performing the activity that you are, take conscious breath. Breathe into the count of 6. Breathe out to the count of 6. Breathe into the count of 6. Steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is how we can bring the meditation into activities that we're performing. The most important part of preparing the central nervous system, I feel, is preparing the physical component, because you have to be able to carry this extra information and energy without your system being compromised. If your system goes down, what happens when you put too much energy or electricity into something that can't handle that much energy and electricity? Think of a 50-watt light bulb and attempting to put 200 watts through it. What happens to the light bulb? It breaks. Yeah, this is what happens to some of us, you know, and which is why some of us don't make it. Our systems get compromised and go down, or what we call dying here, or we get to where we don't think that we can have the conscious experience. We're not going to make the conscious shift back out in this construct, and we're going to have to use another one of our constructs. So in preparing the physical body, the number one thing that you can do is look at your source of water. The body needs a lot of water when making conscious shifts out of body. It needs a good quality water, you know, and the water here is not real great anymore. So another thing we can look into is how we can purify and energize our water. Super important. Like, this should have been done 10 years ago. If you're not already doing this, get on it. Okay, if you want to have a conversation on this, this would be a good thing to have a conversation with on the board, because I can link you to a lot of the materials and what it is I have been doing the last decade in this regard as well. So the number one thing is water. Purifying and energizing the water and making your system able to absorb the water. How do we do that? If the water's just running through us and taking what few nutrients and minerals are available to us these days out with it, What good? So we need to be able to absorb and utilize the water we're taking in. How do we do it?
I don't know.
Somebody shoot out
Okay.
something at me. Somebody shoot out something at me.
Drink more of it.
How do you move anything in the body? How do you move anything in the body? What moves in the body?
Blood, energy.
Yes. Your breath. Okay, so this is why the yogis have pranayama. Okay, the way you move anything in the body is through the breath. You can also move it through the mind. Idea, thought does move and can move things in the body. But most people aren't able to focus on a thought long enough for it to take effect in the physical structure. And so the breath is more physical, and it has a more physical connection with the body, or a more immediate physical connection with the body, as far as physical beings see and experience based on their parameters. And so this is where the breathing comes into play. Deep, long breaths in, all the way up there to the very top of the breath. Right there where you think you're done inhaling, where you think you can't breathe in anymore, on purpose, relax right there at the top of the breath and let the breath come in even more. Just learn to take a deeper, fuller breath. Do this on the exhale as well. Exhale all the way and bring awareness into the space there at the very bottom of the breath where you think you cannot breathe out anymore. Deliberately feel why you can't. Usually that will be a constriction of some sort. Relax there so that more breath can flow out, and then breathe in. And this is called a simple Puraka Rechaka, a simple lengthening of the inhale, lengthening of the exhale. Okay, and this will begin to move things more in the body. Without the oxygen, without the movement in the body, nothing gets processed. Okay, so that's one way to improve the absorption of anything you take into the body, and also the water. A lot of our body systems are going down because of the way that we've eaten, because of the chemicals in the food, because the chemicals raining down from the sky, et cetera, et cetera. And so our kidneys have been severely compromised. Our liver has been severely compromised. And this is why people are getting liver stones and gallbladder stones and kidney stones galore. These stones are chemicals, toxic chemicals to the body that the body is encapsulating and storing in our organs. And I've begun to be affected by this adversely strongly here now in my mid-50s. And so I'm deliberately having to cleanse the internal organs of my body much deeper than I ever have before. I'm doing liver and kidney cleanses and things like this, gallbladder flushes. Whereas I would never have considered doing something quite that deep before, didn't need to. I do now. And so as we age, as more our body catches onto and encapsulates more of what it cannot release because the kidneys aren't functioning. And the kidneys are what filter out your metabolitic wastes. Okay, this is new to the awareness of this physical matter reality. Prior to this, this was not the idea, and it still is not the consensus idea, but it's the true idea. Okay, so anything that you can do to clear the kidneys, water is one. Put some lemon in your water. Okay, begin to bring that down to where you don't need to water down the lemon and drink pure lemon juice. And this will begin to bring your kidneys back online. So if we can take in enough water, if we can make that water pure enough and electric enough for our bodies to actually absorb, and we begin to utilize things like lemon, highly alkaline, to cleanse out the kidneys, to get the kidneys filtering again, then we have a much better shot at keeping the physical construct happy and healthy. It will handle a higher light quotient, higher vibration, higher frequencies, higher flows of information, energy, etc.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
Questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I just said, okay, you go.
Okay. I was going to ask, what about putting our experiments been doing with intent into the water to change the structure of the water? Is that something that really works? Yeah. You put your intent into the water and the crystals are changing, then drinking it after you put a strong intent into it to modify the actual water itself.
Intent is good. Intent does work. But the thing with intent is you have to be able to focus on the intent long enough, steadily enough for it to actually come into effect in the physical construct of that water. And this is what we're not real great at yet. And so use a filter, filter out some of the bad stuff. Use crystals, program the crystals with an intent, put the crystal in the water. Quartz crystal is excellent for this. It's not going to clean the water, but it will carry your intent into the water and carry those vibrations out into the water. But definitely physically filter the water first. Get the majority of that, I want to say crap, I'll just say chemicals out that way. Okay. And then how about symbols?
Yeah, I was going to say that as well, but the symbols, I came across, I can't remember what the name of it, I put in symbols, I can't remember what the guy said it was. I would research it again, but yeah, the symbols, yeah.
Yes, so the symbols carry intent for you.
I have a symbol that I printed off, and I actually put it on my bottled water before I even store it in the fridge. I take the labels off, I put my intent on the back of the label, and it stays on the water until a day later, and then I put it in the fridge and I drink it, if I don't put my crystals in it.
Wonderful. If it's in the fridge, just make sure it's covered, because your refrigerator puts out toxic chemicals as well. Nothing goes into the fridge or freezer without being covered. Otherwise, all that antifreeze and all of the things that make your refrigerator and freezer cold all over your food.
So would a good symbol be, is that the kind of flower of life symbol? Is that a good one? The kind of flower
Yes.
That one, yeah.
Yes.
No, I've got that one right, okay.
Yeah, I use the flower of life. I use the Vesica Pisces. I use the Om. That's my personal name. It was what my spiritual teacher named me as Om. That's why I go by the Om Casey. So any symbol, trees. I'm using a tree right now, an actual tree on my water. So you can bring nature symbols inside, and they don't have to be stickers. They can be actual things. So you can put your water container by a plant, by your crystals. They don't necessarily have to go in. You can just make the construct of the ideas physically manifest there in the space, and it will all take and hold effect. You can bring colors into play. So if there's a certain color that has the frequency or feeling of what you feel the body needs, then that also likewise works. I think I had mentioned to you guys previously that just before I'm about to kick off into another expanse, I end up in a yellow room every single time. So yeah, I know when I arrive in a yellow room now that something is in play. There's a reason. There's a reason for that. Good. Okay. So getting the body ready for conscious out-of-body travel. Keeping it hydrated, number one. The hydration isn't just good for the body, and the fact that it will be taking in more information, more energy, higher flows, higher frequencies. It's also good. Just a moment, I'm getting something different. It's also good for our biggest challenge, start to finish. And that's making it back with the data. A lot of us are having these experiences, are having lucid dreams, are consciously even going out of body in the middle of the night, but having many sleep cycles before waking proper, and just aren't making it back with the data. Okay, so water is essential for this. Hydration, keeping the cells of the body hydrated, the whole central nervous system, fluid, moving and functioning, will kick up your recall. Okay, will make the physical construct more apt to be able to hold those frequencies when you get back here. Okay, where you probably will have to write down the data somewhat quick, but at least you'll have it. And the more you do that, of course, the more data that comes back with you and for longer periods of time. The experiences that I was having, 2009 to 2013, I still hold in my construct. I did not lose those, you know, and my group had me drinking upwards of a gallon of water a day. I didn't know why I was needing so much water at that point, but I did the video log saying, you know, just logging, journaling that, hey, you know, there's this thing with water. And I'm seeming to be drinking and needing a lot more water. And so even right now, does everybody have water? Drink. Drink. Yeah. And breathe. Yeah. And not big drinks of water. Not big drinks of water. Just sip on the water, you know, and let it absorb, and sip on the water and let it absorb, you know. Okay. So water, breathing. Okay, the breathing is the really big thing that keeps things moving in the body and keeps things alive in the body, right? What happens when we stop breathing?
Not good.
For good. Okay, so it's what keeps things moving, keeps things alive, keeps things going. What else? What else can we do to start having the conscious OBEs? We all know it. James reminded me to break mine out before I got here. Journal. Yes, journal. Yes.
Mine's a binder. But...
Show me your journals. I was telling James, 2009 to 2013, going out of body almost every day, definitely remembering hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dreams. And this is the only journal I kept. Everything else I threw out. And I kept it because it was mostly empty. It still had pages left. But journaling, yes. Why does journaling help?
Memory, helps your memory back, cognition, yeah.
You're grounding the non-physical, you're grounding it right here in the physical. So that's what that is a replica of. It's a literal physical replica of you grounding the information here, of bringing it back with you. Okay, so that's why we're doing it. Fundamentally, that's why we're doing it. The details that we're writing down, sure, we have a lot of fun with those, you know. But fundamentally, that's why we're doing it. We're just grounding the information here. This took place, it took place here, and here it is. It's a physical thing. And that means if it's written down there, it can actually affect the physical reality. Me writing this down can help you bring back your data, help you experience more of your dream state. Okay, I affect consensus by writing that down and putting it here. Act as simple as that. Okay, who's getting goosebumps? That's just super cool, right?
May I say something? Because it's funny. I was just giggling again because making it back with the data, that's so interesting. and also writing. I mean, if I never wrote my dreams when I was 14 and I never read it again, I mean, that's a funny thing to do for the light beings around me. They probably just planted this scenario in my head that you have to write it because I'm not going to read it.
The
No,
active
but
writing
also,
it down, yes, does something in and to us also. There's also that. I mean, this is big. The journaling is a lot bigger than what we normally let ourselves cognize on a steady, ongoing basis. Anyway, there may be moments of us cognizing this is super important, but there's almost nothing more important.
I have a question.
Once you get to the point where you can hold it in your actual physical construct, fine, then the actual physical construct grounds it. But until then, this is what does. Or anywhere you put it, you know, on the boards, on our groups, you know, anywhere you physically put it. But again, when I was in out-of-body experiences, the way that I was able to, and I did videos on this too, not many people who are with me now were with me then, but if you went back into the videos, you would see me noting that in out-of-body experiences, the way that what I stopped to do before I got back to the physical was I stopped in the etheric version of my room, got my journal and wrote everything down. And it was the part of the experience that I wrote down there that I was able to hold on to here. Okay, but it's really, 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 really important. And it being something, I mean, go to town with this, guys. I mean, make it something that's important to you. These colors and these shapes were important to me, you know, when I first got this and I was journaling at that time. And it still is. I'm very keyed to yellow for some reason. But journaling, we have to.
May I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
May I ask a question about, because I was very aware about the fact that we are grounding experiences when we are writing it, and I'm very, very keen on writing a lot of things. But a few years back, I was thinking, well, if I'm writing my nightmares, the worst experiences, and also the things that happened in my life, I really want to write them. I mean, my higher self is just pushing me to write it. And at the same time, grounding it, I'm not sure. I mean, from a perspective of there's no good or bad, I understand why I have to write them. But from a perspective of a human living in this experience, it's very difficult for me to write the bad stuff. Because then I'm thinking I'm grounding it, and so I'm giving it even more right to reality in that way. So what?
It's holding a reality. It's holding a reality in you right now, in those fields, okay, deep inside you. And you holding awareness that it's holding space in reality in you is important. It's critical, because that's something that you still have yet to complete with. And completing with it is a part of your process, a part of your moving forward, a part of your graduation. And your graduation is, of course, a part of the collective graduation, right? So it's big. Yeah. Put fear in the back seat, throw curiosity in the front, look at that and wonder, what is this? What is this? Why is it here? Yeah, and just go right into it. That's another, you know, thing that we can do with it. We can put these right in front of us. We're like, you know, we get back from some of these experiences and we're like, what was that? What was that? You know, and so again, we put it here and we put it in front of us, and it's another thing to go into and through. Yeah, until we can complete with it, until we know. Yeah.
Got it.
Anyone else on journaling? Deshanta, were you journaling all of this great dream recall prior?
Yeah, I've actually been journaling since probably before I was a teenager.
Okay, listen to this, because she has this huge dream recall. Go
Which
ahead.
one are you referring to that you wanted me to talk about?
Well, none in specifically, just the fact that you have this really a larger than normal dream recall. You bring back a lot of dreams, each
Yeah.
day. And she's been journaling since you look really young right now.
I'm about to turn 24 in August.
So about 10 years, you've been journaling daily.
Yeah.
And she has this huge dream recall, normal information. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring information to this reality that it's been missing. This is another important component of our doing this. Okay. I know, at least in my being, that I want to bring as much through as I can before it's, time for me to go back out.
And I've tried some of the tips that I've watched on your previous videos about triggering recognition or triggering the consciousness in the dreams, like checking the time and stuff like that. Checking the time is one of the major things that helps me actually recall my dreams and help me journal. I also voice record when I don't have my journal right next to me. It helps me not only hear my voice and the emotions fresh from the dream, but I can also dialogue it from that. But with the time, I also have noticed that, hold on.
We also have to find our jobs, by the way. Her just telling me that she voice recorded these gave me the information that she may likely be a vocal channel. We each have jobs and we have these functions and capacities, and they're unique to us each. And bringing this through and working from them while we're here is what gives us the satisfaction while we're here. It keeps us from sinking into that depression, because anybody that's undergone an awakening, regardless of the process, experiences that depression, and it's easy to go down into it because the energy here is just very heavy and very lower than what we're accustomed to. So it's what gives us the satisfaction. As we're fulfilling our function, we get the satisfaction of fulfilling our function. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I lost my train of thought for a second. Hold on, let me get back on track.
You voice record some of these.
Oh yes, and in some of my out-of-body experiences, I've met some dead celebrities and some celebrities that are still alive. I thought that was a little funny to me.
Does everybody have celebrities that show up in their dreams? Just actors, actresses, people that the consensus know. Does everybody have somebody that shows up in their dreams? Okay, just some of us. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Just had a week there.
That's a common thing, and so I was just wondering how common amongst us. Hey, Ioana, there's two of you.
She brought herself.
I was gonna open up my phone and my iPad, but my internet signal's not strong enough because I wanted to see three of me on here and how that was gonna go.
That's hilarious.
It's not two of me, just my connection froze, so I had to get out and get back again. So the other me is just hanging there.
This is proof of out of body.
We're getting a sign. We have our groups working closer.
And everyone is muted, so she cannot say anything.
Ioana takes out her visuals because her internet signal is not good. So when we see her picture go out, she's still there, but she's trying to save bandwidth. Okay, so only some of us are having.
I was also going to, yeah, my connection is really unstable, they say. Probably. I was going to say that I also have better dream recall depending on the direction that I sleep in.
Okay.
About dream recall.
Which way are
So,
you?
for example, if I sleep with my head to the south or any south related, it's very difficult. But north and west are the best for me. But northeast is also possible, but southeast is just so.
That's interesting.
For what it's.
I'll tell you what my being does to overcome this, and then I'll ask you if any of you also have the same happening. So my beds, it's really interesting, are almost always aligned to the top of my head facing south. And I think that this is why they had me begin to bilocate. So at the beginning of the conscious OBEs, I would be lying on the mat, you know, with my head facing one way, facing up. And during the meditation, I would all of a sudden be aware that I could not locate myself in the room. Like I didn't know where I did not consciously realize where I had laid my body down. And this is because I was also up there on the roof looking down. Okay, so if your physical body is not in a place where it can lay with the crown of the head magnetically north, then your inner being, is that Jason? No. Oh, no, I know who this is. This is Hello Stream, yes? Hello Stream. Now he has been here since the beginning of the YouTubes. Hello Stream, on the bottom left of your screen, you'll find your microphone, and you'll have to unmute your microphone for us to hear you. There you go. Okay, so there's multiple ways to overcome the magnetic direction you're facing, but that is true. A lot of people seem to feel that their dream state and recall is much better with the top of their head magnetically aligned north. I'm simply rotated, you know, my energy body, whatever you want to call that, my etheric body is what I call it. I will just be rotated. Who else? Does anybody have difficulty with direction and the direction they're lying or sitting?
I'm horrible at direction.
Okay, yeah, I don't even know which way I'm facing.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Both my bedrooms don't set up well for north at all.
Oh, your voice is so little. Let me turn this up.
I might be in the wrong mic then. I got multiple mics. Is it this mic? Hang on, I'll have to come back. I'll have to check my end out and come back.
We just got a kiss.
Oh, I can see everybody now. This is cool. Okay.
Oh, good. Yes, you'll make discoveries in here. Oh, good. I'm glad. We started out, when we started doing the Zooms, we pointed these things out to everybody, but now we don't because we can do it every single time. Yes, but you can put it to where you can see everybody. Okay, so how are we doing on time?
20 past the first hour.
We've got about 45 minutes left. So, okay, so we've been going over a few things to help us with conscious shifts out of body. We talked about the importance of hydration, of preparing the body and making it able to absorb and utilize the fluids that it takes in. We've talked a little bit about the breath to keep things moving and to help the body absorb better, and how this helps and is critical to not just having a conscious shift out of body, but making it back into the physical with the data, with the information intact. And then the importance of grounding it here, writing it down, audio recording it, putting it somewhere on the internet, but some manner of grounding the information here. So all of this is what we've been going over so far as being really important to our process of making conscious shifts out of body. Okay, now let's go into the fear factor next, because when we're making the conscious shifts out of body, you will experience through the body system what I have coined wild physical body phenomena. And your central nervous system has to be able to process this data, process this information in a way that doesn't take you into your own fear-created construct. Because you don't want to have to go through that in order to get into the experience that your larger consciousness was designing for you. You want to go directly into that. Okay. So what are some things that we can do to help prepare ourselves for the physical component, the things that we're physically going to feel through the physical body as we consciously shift out of body? Again, the breath comes into play, right? The breath, we can utilize the breath to help us remain calm. Okay, so again, deep, full breaths in, deep, full breath out. Okay, we want to be in observation mode, pure observation mode. Pure observation mode is a state of neutrality. Okay, so we want to get as much into that as we can. Does anybody have any tricks or tools they use when attempting to make conscious shifts for this?
I've started practicing in shamanism using rattles and drums working well. And I'm starting to feel good things with this, just learning this as I get developed in the last few months. So I've been using sound mostly for me. And I'm doing, just start to practice once I get there, is ecstatic body postures. One they've got. That's the one they're doing in Mexico. You're putting yourself in the postures and linking directly to various visions, guidance, or information that you can gain. So I'm just starting into that part, into that area.
James, are you making mental shifts?
Yeah, I will be. I'm just starting.
Where you're able to see the mind field, the space field, but you're not physically taking the body with you?
No, I'm not taking the body with me. No, I'm receiving the information. I'm not physically going there yet. I'm just about to start. That's what's being presented to me. It's just about to go in there.
But you're in the mind field. You have a vision scape around you in which you're viewing and getting information from?
No, it's just flowing. It's a kind of shift, but I just get a flow of information. I don't get visions. I'm just got a feeling and just information just flowing through me. That's what I get. I'm just writing books as a kind of automatic writing almost sometimes.
Okay.
But
So in shamanism, as you know, I'm a shaman. It just naturally happened. I didn't pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
An out-of-body explorer is a shaman.
Yeah, so much as such.
So it will advance to take you to the point where you travel physically into these fields. And so you do still have to prepare the physical body. There is a fear factor in this. The central nervous system does go into shock. Mine went into shock for almost 2 years. So like if I were to put my hand out like this, I couldn't get my hand to stop shaking. So my central nervous, and during the first 2 years of me making the videos, it was like that. I literally had to sit on my hands a lot or put them underneath me because my body would start shaking. I could not physically process that amount of energy yet. And these physical things were happening. So in the middle of making one of those videos, I might feel a cold hand on my shoulder, and you have to get used to those things. I could also feel myself, being rotated. That was a part of my process. So the directions do come into play. And, my body would be oriented one way, and my other bodies would be rotated in a very precise fashion. And then that would open up the whole spectrum to me. Boom, I would be here, 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 and here, observing the fields. But in the transition into them, when it is in the full conscious awareness, and when I'm going to say your physicality is taken with you, when you end up there physically, you go like this and you touch yourself and you have the same physical sensations that you do here. You may not look like yourself. I rarely looked like myself, but the same experience is there. And again, the central nervous system goes into shock. So again, the water is very helpful with this. Again, the breathing is very helpful with this. Again, the grounding of the information into a format aside from your physical structure to hold some of that energy and information for you is important. All of these things are important in preparatory stages for the central nervous shock. In my own experience, it wasn't a single out-of-body experience. It was conscious out-of-body experiences 2-3 times a week that grew into 5 and 6 times a week for 4 years straight. So that was a long period of time. There was no acclimation time. It's not an out-of-body experience that I get 10 years to process. That's an out-of-body experience that I barely even get a day to process. Yeah. And so maybe the amount of shock my physical system went through was greater than what other people will experience. I don't know, but I would like to help you prepare for that so that you don't put the brakes on the experience. When it begins, that momentum took you a lot to build to get to it. And you definitely don't want to prematurely put on the brakes before it has a chance to really take off. So a part of this format is preparing the physical construct for the experience of consciously leaving the body, expanding out beyond it doesn't leave the body, it just goes out beyond the body. It's still here too. It's just here as well. Maybe here and even here. So again, that much, depending on how far you go out, will depend on how much extra information and energy is coming into the physical body. Many people who go out of body for a very long period of time won't go any further than their bedroom. It may take them a year or 2 years or even more to make it out of their bedroom into their house. Out of their house, outside into the neighborhood. And so it's a very slow, gradual process. They don't, like me, on a dime, all of a sudden end up in galactic space where I'm an extraterrestrial being of some sort on another world. I mean, that's a lot of new information and energy to have to hold in my physical construct. But some of us will. Many of us are. I'm not making it back with the daddy yet because the body's not prepared to hold that. And so again, these are some of the things that we can do. The diet is really important. So does anybody notice things that they can or let's say cannot eat and still bring back dream recall, lucid dream recall, out-of-body experience? Cannot eat refined sugar. Absolutely cannot eat refined sugar. Even the amount that might be in a little bit of ketchup will affect me and will affect me adversely. But I'm somebody who has never been able to eat refined sugar. So if you're eating refined sugar, I would suggest stopping immediately. As it exists in contemporary society, it's an absolutely toxic material to the body. It's not even sugar. It's something wholly different now. A lot of packaged foods, if not most packaged foods, contains sugar, and sugar by various names, maltodextrin, and things that you don't recognize necessarily as being sugar, but that are. There's a lot of chemically produced sugars nowadays, chemically produced refined sugars that are added to foods under any number of names. If there's anything on a package you don't recognize the name of, just put it off to the side. I'd suggest that the majority of the foods that you're eating come right from the land. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. This is researchable. Science knows this. Consensus knows this. Not that everyday people take the time or have the time, having to work so many jobs, et cetera, to actually look for the information and gain it. But this is accessible information. The angstroms of food, the electricity, the energy level of foods have been measured, and we know this. Fruits, fresh fruits, right at the top of the list. Why are they right at the top of the list? Because they contain the most water. This is a great source of water nowadays because we can't really trust this so much. So you'll notice that if you're eating a lot of fresh fruits and drinking fresh fruit juices, that you don't need much water. It's all right there in it. Okay, so 10,000. 10,000. Just go through the angstroms really quick, and then yes.
Okay.
Let me do these angstroms. So 10,000 to 9,000 angstroms in fresh fruits and vegetables. That's as high as the scale goes. Right under that is fresh vegetables, but vegetables can also drop down into what we consider the cancerous range. So especially when they're cooked. Cooked food drops in energy, angstroms, electricity into frequencies of vibration that are literally toxic and cancerous to the body. The body doesn't recognize them. It can't digest them. It can't process them. And so if we're eating a lot of cooked foods, and especially a lot of processed cooked foods out of packages, the body's going to be dehydrated. And so begin the process of transitioning off of that type of diet. I would recommend it, surely. I'm not saying to do it. Please don't think I'm trying to tell you what to do. But I definitely highly recommend it if you're wanting to make conscious shifts out of body. And if you're wanting to take that experience into what it is you probably came here to do. It is important to eat, of course, but at present, it's not as important to eat as it is to be out in the sun and to be taking in fluids. Period. As far as foods, I think it would really surprise you to find out how little the physical body as it currently exists on the planet at this moment in time and moving forward needs. If you go onto YouTube, you can find these insane fasts that people are doing for insane amounts of time. We're not talking about week fasts or a month fast. We're talking about 6-month fasting, year fasting, and they're fine. They're recording this so people can see that this is happening and that it's possible. And it's possible with us all, but we are going to undergo the detox, the getting sick part as we go there. And the quicker we're I hate it when a word just pops right out of my head. And it's still gone. But the quicker we go there, the more detox symptoms and symptomologies we're going to have. I recently did a really big one. Some of you know about that. It was a 6-month-long fast where I took off the 35 pounds I gained the 5 years that I was absent, in which I was letting myself go down. I was done. I was literally just going to say, bye, everybody. I'm ready to go. I was in that depression and just following it through. Little did I know I was being assisted in that journey off the planet. I became alert. I was made alert to the fact that I was being assisted by, quote, the dark side. The control system, was happy with my decision and just sort of helping me right along. But when I got brought alert to the fact that that's what was happening, that's when I came back online. So this is all stuff I've learned and have been employing since that time. So this is the way they're helping a lot of people off the planet right now, to get the population down, because the lower the population, the less resistance they have, right? So it's important that we keep our numbers high, that we stay, that we get as healthy as we can, so that we feel good being here, that we start employing our missions, letting that through, grounding it here, letting it through to the populace, all of that. So the food is really important. Any step that you could take today to transition off of solid foods, not all the way off of solid food, just a baby step. You know, take a portion of one meal that would have been all solid food and make it half fluid, half solid food. You know, take a meal that would have been really solid, you know, some potatoes and, you know, things like that, real heavy, and, you know, make it a salad without salad dressing. You know, put things in that salad that you like, you know, put everything in it that you like. Don't make it a salad you don't like, because there's probably vegetables and fruits that you like. You know, make it a fruit salad, even better. Higher energy. Okay, just know that you probably will go through some detox symptoms as you move more onto fruits, because if you're used to a 2,000 angstrom diet and you move to a 10,000 angstrom diet, what are you going to feel? The differential, just like when going in our body, right? You feel a differential between this space and that space. And yeah, here we like to call that being sick, but what it is becoming healthy. What that is healing. So look at it in that framework and you'll have a more positive experience with it. Yeah. So what you might do with that being the habit, wanting to eat something right before bed, you might do your attempts to make conscious shifts out of body before your first meal. You know, after your sleep in the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So deliberately, yeah. Just do a wake back to bed. Wake up for about 30 minutes. And
what's happened to me since I retired is all the discipline's gone out of my life and all the routine has gone out of my life.
Yeah,
and
good.
I don't wake up. Well, the bad thing is I haven't been able to record dreams anymore. It's like I was doing pretty well recording dreams. I don't remember anything anymore. And this is a subject I did a video on just recently. If you go to Hidden Observer, my last video there. But daydreams, I've been really getting into daydreams and what they're all about. Because isn't that a form of OBE? If you could remember your daydream, or if you could have a lucid daydream, it's basically an OBE at that point. So I've been kind of playing with that, because I've had these really funny daydreams where I'm like in a situation with somebody, I'm doing something else in the real world, but I'm simultaneously involved with some individual. It's like I know this person and we're comfortable together. It's not like I'm in a strange situation. It's like I'm in that situation, I'm at home in that situation, you know. And but then all of a sudden I wake, something jolts my attention out. I get back to it, and it just goes. I can just feel it. I just feel the experience just evaporating. You know, it's like trying to recall it. It's just like my dreams. I'm trying to recall my dreams. Trying to recall my daydreams is even tougher. But it's just that erasure thing. You just feel it just. But I know it's a matter of transferring it to your physical brain, you know, at the end of the experience.
It's always the same for that. Don't panic. and don't move.
Don't what?
Don't move.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just stay perfectly still. Maybe even close the eyes, depending on, you know, which way you have better recall. And just say, what was I just dreaming? What was just happening? And just wait for it to come back to you. And don't be in a hurry, because it might take 10 minutes. Okay? And so when you get in the habit of doing that, of creating the space in which to have some semblance of the recall, even if you just remember, I was outdoors, it was daytime, it was inside, not outside, I was happy in this experience, and write that down. Just write down the fact that you did just have an experience, that you felt it suck away, the transition was so fast, so seamless. Write down how much time you spent attempting to remember with that situation. Just write down anything you can remember. It's important. Even if you think you have come back with no recall, you have. You've come back with the recall that you were just somewhere else, and right now you're not remembering. That's recall.
Okay.
Write it down, ground it. Okay?
You know what?
And then again, give yourself a length of space in which for some of the fragments to begin bleeding back through to you. And write them down. You'll find out when you begin to write it down, you begin to have more of the recall. It's given to you. It just comes back to you because you're attempting to put it down. Your own larger consciousness will help you. It's not just you. It's never just you. And it's all you have to do is open to it. Just feel the space around your body, okay? Because something outside yourself, even if you conceive of that as the air, is touching the outside of your skin. Feel it, deliberately relax at the outside edges of your skin and let it in. The process is always the same. Let it in, let it in, let it in. Okay? So if it's not coming in, then we're holding ourselves separate from it somehow, some way. Learn the ways in which you hold yourself from it and deliberately relax there. A lot of people will cut themselves off the mind. And they'll get headaches and things like that. And so you learn to relax the head and face. You sequentially relax each part of the head and face. Until all of a sudden the head's feeling nice and big now. It's going out into the mind space all around you. The mind space all around you is coming in towards you. Okay, and it will just work like that. But you have to let it. And the breath is something that helps us do this. Deep, long breath in, deep, long breath out. Deep, long breath in, deep, long breath out. Just put the attention with the breath and keep it there. Hold the attention here between the brow and breathe in and breathe out. And before you know it, you're seeing the swirls of color and the bright lights flashing at you, and you're in. And even if that's as far as it goes, isn't that as farther than it was before you attempted this process? Yes. Pay attention to those color swirls. Pay attention to the colors. Pay attention to the patterns. They're nebulas. They are nebulas. You're cosmic at that point. That's as far out as you can go. But you can go more physically if you want, so to speak. And that's what most of us want. Yeah. So it's all a process. We all can get there. We just have to have the patience and do it. Allow for it.
Just add two other things that I noted here. One is that drink water. Yeah.
Ioana, I'm just going to say, everybody just be aware that Ioana has offered herself for counseling and talks about this if anybody wants also.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So about water, because we passed that subject, but about water is important that people drink it from glass bottles.
Yep.
And not plastic bottles. So absolutely no plastic bottles.
It's possible, but also know that the glass that is being made on the planet right now is being made with some chemical waste included. And so even that comes to, my goodness, if we could make our own vessel with earth materials at this point.
Yes. Yes.
Probably find somebody who's doing that for us. And
yes. I also tried that too. So but and something else.
You want to we'll just let's keep putting this in the context of the want or wish or desire for conscious out of body experience. And so the water is very helpful. And I mean, we could do endless Zoom calls on that, and maybe we even will, amongst a few of us, have specific talks about specifically water. it is so very important. Our bodies are 70% water, and of course, the water is the functioning, processing element of the information we're bringing in. And so, in order to process that information and experience it in a beneficial way, bring it in a beneficial way to the planet is also important. But in this call, we have to focus just a little bit further on the out-of-body experience, and specifically the conscious out-of-body experience, the transition from the conscious state of awareness into what I call additional consciousness states, additional consciousness space. I call this in this way rather than out-of-body experience, because in my experience, this is what it is. I'm not just here, but here now and in a wider spectrum as well. And so we just keep adding to the width, to the largeness or scope of what we're able to hold, and hold while also in full conscious awareness, to the point where we're always out, our fields are always out, and we can shift our conscious awareness into them in a physical type way, sort of as we wish. I feel that some of us need to be able to do this ground level, because I feel an event is coming to the system. I don't feel that it is here yet. I feel that it is happening, but that, the full collapse has not yet happened, but that is imminent, because it's part of what the 3D construct will experience as the reset, and what others of us who are going out into something more are going to experience as the jumping off point. So when the cycles pattern through, there's always where the cycle perceptually begins and where the cycle perceptually ends, and we're at that. So I feel that there is going to be I think that, our skills are going to be needed. In other words, there are those of us who we're going to need the precognitives. We're going to need the channels. We're going to, we're going to need the crystal healers. We're going to need the crystal communicators, those who can communicate with crystals off planet. So like it's all going to come, those who are the shamans, who can, transition out physically, to gain information to bring back as to, what's happening and where people are. There, likely will be people that are lost. I'm somebody who did, in the beginning of my experience the tsunamis that were probable to occur, and systems in which my construct would also be present. And so I don't know if others of you have also, but a part of this has to do with the imperative I myself feel to bring through our skills and our skill sets. And again, not just discovering what they are, but learning how to use them. It's taken me years just to get to the point where I am right now with the crystal. I'm still more baffled than anything else. I still don't have much skill with it. So we need to get the skill and develop the skills and be able to use the skills as readily as we can use contemporary technology,
I'm doing a lot of divination now with the ruins. It's a natural talent, with divination and picking up people's doing energy readings, and people have been helpful for a group I joined. Just practiced it. I'm really talented at it. Just having a practice with it, just getting used to using these rune symbols and actually doing that kind of thing. And that's why I go to that. And I remember that Brian that came to the channel. That's why I found her. I was doing the energy readings for her and stuff like that. So interesting. It's interesting.
James, you talk so fast. The energy comes so fast through you. I'm always like this. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to just add something else. You asked what enhances, because I didn't have really, I had lucid dreams. I had OBEs, but I had it in context of substance. So with ayahuasca and also with different mushrooms. And lately I have them with, I had one when I was looking into my eyes into the mirror, which scared the out of me at that moment, because it was not really the moment. I was just brushing my teeth. So, but also in terms of what you eat or you don't eat, before, I noticed that I cannot experience a good night or a good dream recall and everything if I eat cooked food which is salty.
Mm.
Like a lot of hours, and if I forget, and I frequently forget, then I remember the next morning, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah,
And then it also,
that's going to dehydrate the body, and your body's not
yeah,
going to have
I
fluid.
do, but still it's not enough. It's like I would have to have a tap next to my bed to just flush that out of the system. But if I forget, then that's it. So.
Okay, good. We've reached our time for today. I could go on and on and on, but rather than that, let's go ahead and schedule another of these meetings if any or all of you are interested. And Jan, I'm going to thank Jan publicly. Jan has joined our patron group. So I want to thank you so much for helping to support Jan. And the more that happens, the more I can transition off of my day job and focus more fully here, which is, you know, what I want to do. It doesn't take much, but it's going to take some doing to get there. And I thank you for helping me get there. All of us get there. All right. Okay. Thank you all for coming. This was really fun. It feels like we did something. It feels like we moved some energy, got some ideas going. And if you have further ideas, again, on the boards or in the Facebook group, we'll talk about it some more. And in the meantime, perhaps we'll make Wednesdays at 11 a time for this particular Zoom room. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So fun. Hilla Stream, it was so good to see you.
Yeah.
You've been with me so long, like from the very beginning. Okay. All right.
This will be historical. Okay.
I'll see you all on the boards.
See you.
See you.
Bye.
Yeah.